to Creativity Rules, and thank you for being a part of it, Vinay. Welcome. How are you feeling right now? Does it seem like one of your bucket lists is done? Just
Absolutely. Absolutely.
okay.
But thank you for having me on the show. I
Vinay,
like the title of your show, by the way.
thank you so much, Vinay. Thank you so much. Vinay, it is said that versatility of knowledge can fit a person in any puzzle of life. And when I look at your profile, I think the word versatility can draw a lot of inspiration from you because the things you do, some of them are closely related, but some of them have no relationship with them at all. And yet you seem to have aced it. I mean, fashion stylist, banker, investment banker, strategist. I think you have a digital agency by the name Maven Doer. Uh, you have written and directed a Kannada movie which streams on Netflix. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it's called Mundina Nildana. I don't know if I pronounced it right. But you've also written and directed music videos, documentaries. मतलब कहाँ से ये शुरुआत कहाँ से आई इस creative journey की इस creative germ की in you Vinay, and how do these things get connected to each other? I'm very curious to know that.
Yeah. Firstly, before we get into the me answering the question, you pronounced my movie name very well. Mundina Nildana is the movie name. Only thing you didn't pronounce properly is the language name. It's Kannada.
Kannada. Kannada.
It's like how we call Hindi and not Hind. So it's Kannada, not Kannad.
Kannada. Learnable point
Yes,
of view. Thank
absolutely.
you.
Yes, so coming back to your question, so Ridhima, I feel that I am a destiny's child. I feel that whatever has happened in my life was not planned.
Yeah.
Things fell in place, like the way you said, a boy from Bangalore studied, bachelor's, had dreams of doing MBA, moved to Singapore. It's been 16 years now. Did my MBA, got into corporate life,
Hmm.
very comfortable, very happy. Was looking at progressing in my career all the time. What's next? What's the next promotion? How do I get into my next role? So that was kind of my life, and very comfortable and happy life until one day, a catastrophic incident happened I think about 6 years back, where I lost a loved one to cancer. And so she was in the ICU for about 54 days on a ventilator in coma. And I literally spent time outside, spending time with people who are, the patients' families who are outside waiting in the ICU. My duty was to just go inside the ICU, talk to her, and ask her to wake up every day, morning and evening. Spend a lot of time with the in the pediatric ward where kids with cancer were there. I've seen a lot of death in front of my eyes. I saw a lot of people suffer, people go back home healthy. So that kind of changed my perspective. I got back. I mean, unfortunately, we couldn't save her. I got back, life moved on. I had taken 3 months off from work. Life moved on. But what it really taught me was life is very unpredictable. Anything can
Hmm.
happen. And another thing also is that something in me changed, which I'm not able to. And I've spoken in many interviews. I've spoken to so many people about it, but I'm not able to articulate what exactly changed in me. But something changed in me, and that something told me to kind of talk about cancer awareness, which we as a family learned, because it was the first time in my family that someone was having going through cancer. I just wanted to speak two simple things, Ridhima. One was it can happen to anyone. Don't take it lightly. And number two, early detection can actually save life. So please get your tests done regularly. When she was diagnosed, it was mom was stage 3, stage 4. Probably,
Hmm.
if at all, it was detected in stage 1, we could have saved her. I don't know. So these were the two simple messages that I wanted to give.
Hmm.
And with that thought, my journey began. While I was very happily working on my presentations in Standard Chartered, I started making cold calls and cold emails to people from Bangalore. Being from Bangalore, I thought, let me start off on YouTube. It's a free platform. I
Yeah.
can, get a couple of people, interview them, talk about their inspiring journeys, and very subtly 5 minutes talk about cancer awareness. And I still remember a college professor of mine called Mr. Sundar. I called him and I was like, he's a theater artist and serial artist as well. So I told him, sir, can you just pass me a couple of serial artists' phone numbers? I just want to do the series. So he
Yeah.
said, what do you really want to do, Vinay? So I said, I want to get the best of Bangalore. I mean, if you ask me, my sky is the limit. I want to get people who've made Bangalore proud from every industry come on my show and talk about their inspiring journey, which I can't. I mean, I've left Bangalore so many years back. I have no connection whatsoever from the entertainment industry. So I know I can't do that. So why don't you just give me some serial artists, local serial artists contact? He
Yeah.
said, why don't you go give it a shot? And if you can't get to what you want, I'll be here. I'll be always happy to give you the number. And that's where I think things started, and started making cold calls, cold emails. I still remember I live in the west of Singapore and my office is in the east of Singapore.
Mm.
It is about an hour journey. Um, Morning used to be my research online to understand whom should I contact, what's the contact email address, what's the number that I can get to. And in the evening when I'm on the way back, I used to make the cold calls. So I've probably done 500, 600,000 cold calls probably.
Mm.
It's just the rest is history, because from Kiran Mazumdar Shaw to KL Rahul to Ashwini Ponnappa to Ashwini Nachappa, Raghu Dikshit, I had the best of people from Bangalore who've made their respective industries proud come on my show, support my initiative. I took 10 days off, went to Bangalore, shot all the episodes,
Oh.
and then I used to upload it on YouTube platform while I was sitting and working in Standard Chartered. So that was my journey.
So this was the year
That's where it started.
2016 or 2017?
2016.
2016.
2016, yeah. 2015 December, I shot all the episodes. Ideally, I mean, I started work on my YouTube show October 2015. March is when I lost my loved one. October I started work. December I shot, and January I started uploading the episodes.
My God, talk about quick turnaround times.
Yeah.
So, Vinay, this brings me to my next question. See, losing your loved one was definitely a crucible in your journey. And I like one thing that where you said that I bring these trailblazers of Bangalore, I get them to speak about their respective journey, but there this dedicated portion which you do a portion to your underlying purpose, which is cancer awareness. At this juncture, Vinay, where are you in terms of figuring out what is it that you love to do? Would you call yourself a full-time talk show host, writer, director? How did the inspiration of all the other host of things come into play? And have you given it a thought, okay, what my purpose looks like?
So it's a very deep question, which I'm still chasing answers for. But if I have to say at this point in time, talk show happened. YouTube led to television. I did my first Kannada talk show called Matukate Vinay Jote for a television channel in India, in Karnataka. So that's when I took off, came, shot all the episodes, and came back. And I was still working.
I
was still working. Yeah.
Right.
I've done all this. I used to take a flight after work on a Friday night. Saturday, Sunday, take a day off on Monday, shoot. Monday night, I leave Bangalore, come back to Singapore, go straight to office, have my shower there, and start work. So I did that for a year plus, and it was quite crazy. When I got an opportunity to host Salam Namaste Singapore, which is a show that I host for Colors Hindi every year. So that's when I thought, this must be for something, Vinay. I think you should kind of keep your leg on one boat and not juggle between both.
Yeah.
So that is when I decided to quit. 2016, December 31st, or rather 1st of January 2017, I started this journey as an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been exactly 4 years. Yeah, it's 4. I'm into my 5th year now as an entrepreneur.
Congratulations.
Talk show happened. Salam Namaste used to happen. I also got an opportunity to host a show called Star Talk with Vinay, South Meets North, for Star Plus. That was a very, very interesting show, which had 12...
I want to know, Vinay, but how did these opportunities sprout up? Did they headhunt you? Did you stumble upon them in an airport, at an airport? How did that go about? Because people struggle to pull off one talk show, and you had Salam Namaste Singapore, Star Talk with Vinay, Let's Talk with Vinay, like so much talking. No, how did you make it happen?
So I would say it's a mix of both.
Hmm.
YouTube was something that I chased to
Hmm.
make it happen, Bangalore edition and Chennai edition.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine who in Singapore, she used to manage Star here, connected me to Star Karnataka. And I
I
happened
see.
to be in Bangalore and met up with the Star Suvarna head. And I told him about this idea and they liked it. And,
Yeah.
one thing, Riddhima, that in my journey, I would like to say, if it may help anyone watching this, is I have never feared trying something new. I have never feared asking for something because I believe that crying babies get milk. If you do not cry, don't expect milk to come your way. So it's very important for you to cry to people, to cry to the universe. If you want something, then you ask for it. That's my mantra. And it's so strange that one thing they say lead to another.
Hmm.
YouTube show I did, and then the Kannada talk show happened, which was on my YouTube. Dubai Colors team saw that, and they had a show called Salam Namaste Dubai, and they were looking at doing that in Singapore, their first local show. So they approached and asked, we are interested to do something like this. Are you interested to host and produce it? So that led
Oh,
to
cool.
Salam. Salam led to Star Talk. It is always like that when one thing you do with a lot of conviction and dedication, and there is hard work, eventually it will pay off. It
Hmm.
might not pay then, but it'll eventually. So one thing will lead to another. In my case, it's exactly that. And sometimes I stumble upon opportunities, but I'm very vigilant for opportunities. And
Hmm.
sometimes it comes and knocks at my door.
Hmm.
Again, I'm vigilant to open the door when the opportunity knocks at it. So both are important.
I'm going to be using this phrase, Vinay, in one of my training sessions, crying baby get milk. First, I thought
Yeah.
it's something really negative, but then when you demystified it, it seems like a legit option to have.
Yeah.
Um, Vinay, you started out as an investment banker. You were in a very nice, cushy corporate job, and then you had this epiphany that, you know what, I want to create cancer awareness, which got manifested in the form of this show. Uh, did you have to necessarily rediscover, rejig yourself to meet the requirements of this new platform called talk shows? Did you have to acquire new skills? How was that journey like? Or were you like talking naturally was always like something you were good with?
When I first, even on YouTube, when I did Let's Talk with Vinay, I still remember that I didn't know if I had any skill set to be in front of the camera. I had
Hmm.
never imagined. I've never grown up wanting to be a host. I didn't have a childhood dream. I was not gifted with the gift of the gab, as they
Yeah.
say. So I remember I had one of my clients when I was an investment banker.
Yeah.
She used to handle image consultancy firm, and I reached out to her and I said, her name is Shrina. So I was like, Shrina, I'm planning to host a show on YouTube, and it's going to be a talk show. Is there anything that you want to tell me? Anything that you want to, I should keep in mind? So I remember, bless her, because she helped me do one session, which was more like a role play,
Hmm.
where she told me if someone's talking a lot, how do you handle it? If someone's just not talking, how do you get stuff out of them?
Yeah.
If someone's offensive, what do you do? I think that somewhere brought something out in me. I remember my first time I ever did a talk show was I told her, I'm going to interview you, we'll record it, and
Hmm.
you tell me after the interview what am I lacking with. So somewhere I think there was that thing inside me. I love talking to people. I'm a listener. I love having meaningful conversations. So as a person, that's what gives me joy. And when I was doing it in front of the camera, it felt right because I having a good conversation is something that it gives me great pleasure.
Hmm.
So when I did that with her, so when she told me that don't worry about it, this is perfect, just a little bit of tweaks here and there, and that's when I went out. And another thing that she told me, Ridhima, I'm sure you kind of concur with this, is when you put yourself up in a public platform, be it YouTube, be it Instagram, be it Facebook. Back then there was no Insta. But one thing is you are going to be naked. You are going to be up for criticism. You're going to be up for
Absolutely.
compliments. You're going to be up for anything and everything, because people who do not have a face, or people who do not have a voice, who don't have the courage to talk,
They
they
are
talk
you.
through text. They talk through text. While 90% of the audience are amazing, are here to give constructive feedback, are here to talk about,
Absolutely.
grasp stuff, but there is always the 10% of the people who are never happy irrespective of what you do. I think for me, learning that was important, because I've always been a very sensitive, shy. I'm a Cancerian, so being a July born, I've always been like that. And for me to kind of go naked and say, whatever you guys want, tell me, mock me, ridicule me, appreciate me, love me, hate me. That I think helped me a lot when I did my first talk show.
Yeah.
When I put up my first video, I still remember the day when it was going up. That was the first time I was putting myself up out in public. And I told myself that now, Vinay, ignore noise. Noise is going to be there forever. Ignore noise, be a horse with the blinker, and just keep looking at it one step at a time, one day at a time, and keep moving forward.
Hmm.
You can't be stopping at every dog that barks and throwing a stone, because you're wasting your energy. You just have 24 hours. You just have this much energy.
Hmm.
Use it in the right way. So yeah, that those were the two skill sets that I think I learned before hosting a show. And you would agree with me, because as a talk show host, I think 50% is your expertise and knowledge and talking skills and listening skills and all that. 50% is the energy of the guest sitting in front of you. It
Absolutely.
really depends on
Yeah.
what kind of a person is sitting in front of you. How is the energy? How is the vibe? How much
Yeah.
is the give and take happening? Are they interested in the conversation? Are they there just for the sake of being there? And I think I've hosted about 190, 180, or maybe 200 episodes put all together, my
Hmm.
different shows. I've
Hmm.
had amazing guests. I've had some very, very interesting ones, and I've had not so interesting ones as well. But but majorly, I've been lucky to have some fantastic people. I love talking to them.
When I, like you said, you've spoken to like a miscellany of people of different nationalities, from different countries, from different worlds also. It's not that they've been all corporate, they've been film stars, they've been entrepreneurs. And I want to know from you that from your journey so far, both as an investment banker and now as a talk show host, and then moving in the realm of film direction and writing, in one or two simple sentences, what does creativity mean to you?
Creativity, 2 points. First one is to be able to visualize what you're thinking. Creativity is a very visual medium, right? Not just movies. Even if you're talking about, if you're a talk show host, your creativity
Yeah.
is about having that conversation in your mind. So
Yes.
one is really visualizing, and second thing, creativity requires a lot of articulation. Whatever
Hmm.
you visualize, you need to articulate it. Great creative people are able to do both through different forms. If you're a painter, how do you articulate your thoughts? If you're a filmmaker, how do you articulate your stories? If you're a writer, how do you articulate your lines? As a talk show host, how do you articulate your conversation? Everything boils down to how well you're able to articulate. So for me, creativity is visualization and articulation.
That's interesting. Visualization and articulation. Which brings me to another question, Vinay. See, the entire premise of the show got created when I was in the corporate world, and I've always been a believer that creativity is not something which is only related to artistic endeavors like singing, dancing, or being a painter. So I think what I witnessed or what I saw people talking in their conversation is that in our job, for example, as a marketing director or as an accountant or in the procurement team, you don't need creativity with them. It's a very artistic thing. And that used to challenge my very assumption that am I going in the wrong direction? And 4 years I lived with that thought until I dabbled with anchoring and I realized, nahi yaar, creativity is needed in every realm. So, what's your take, Vinay, for people who still feel that in their line of work, they don't need creativity. Is there a method or is there a process to discover your own creativity and channelize it in your work, irrespective of whatever you're doing professionally? Is creativity meant for the corporate world or so-called professionals?
I would say creativity is more needed in a corporate world, uh,
Interesting.
because uh, let's give realistic examples. One, resume. For you to enter a corporate world, your resume plays a very important role.
Very
It's like a
nice.
wedding card, right? So you see the wedding card and you already have an opinion about the wedding. Oh, this wedding card is so artistic.
Yeah.
The wedding venue will be nice, the decor will be nice, and the bride and the groom has taste. Likewise, your resume is like an invitation. So is if your resume is not creative enough, you won't even be called for an interview. Like people who say you don't need creativity, I think they need to shut shop. First thing, what you need is how creatively have you written your resume? Because there are a million people ready to take your seat if you get up. There are
Hmm.
million engineers, there are million lawyers, million chartered accountants, more talented than you, better at the job. So
Hmm.
there are always, I mean, I always tell this to myself that there are so many more talented people than you waiting for an opportunity. You have gotten this opportunity, so make sure that you work hard and don't take it lightly. Likewise, in the corporate, first thing it starts with resume. Second thing is when you're making a presentation, how creatively are you trying to tell your product, tell your service, talk about your pitch, talk about your presentations. That requires creativity. Doing a PowerPoint presentation is a visual storytelling about your product or a brand or a service. Now we're talking about an elevator. So we always in corporate world talk about an elevator pitch. If you
Yeah.
bump into Steve Jobs tomorrow and you're standing and looking at him and you don't know what the shit you can talk to him about in the 2 minutes between the lift goes from the first level to 30th level, you're gone. Talking is creativity. How do you kind of summarize yourself? How do you pitch yourself? How do you sell yourself? Everything requires creativity, and the definition of creativity might be different in each profession,
Hmm.
but creativity is like a basic thing that will make you stand out from the million other people who are better than you.
So, Vinay, you said creativity is an amalgamation of both visualization and articulation. And I think in the kind of profession you are, you have to visually present the story, and articulation does come through the visual medium. So, there was investment banking, there was talk show, a lot of talk show, and then there were films, music videos, writing, directing. So, did you were you like sleeping one night and you suddenly had this epiphany? Oh my God, I need to direct something. How did that happen? And how did you reinvent yourself to do that? Because I'm pretty sure writing and directing are pretty different mediums compared to being a talk show host. How did that happen, Vinay?
I never imagined, again, like talk shows, I never imagined that I would ever direct a film.
Yeah,
Write a film was
yeah.
not my cup of tea at all, or rather, did not think about it at all. It so happened that a sponsor who was on one of my talk shows was a hospital, and the hospital was looking at doing short films to promote their two initiatives. One is on ambulance, how important ambulance is to save lives, and the second one was organ donation, how important organ donation is, and encouraging people to sign up for organ donation. So when I met up with the CEO, who happened to be my show sponsor, when I told him that I will take it on and I'm going to produce this for you guys, and if you're okay, I would love to get involved in it because organ donation is a very close subject to my heart.
Mm.
So he said, sure, we're going to give you this project, and the project got approved. All I was supposed to do was hire a writer, hire a director, get the project done as a producer, and give it to the hospital. I woke up one day and I told my friend, you know what, I think I'm going to write and direct it. So, like, are you crazy? I mean,
Yeah.
you've taken the money, you should be hiring people who know the job and get it done. I said, what's the worst that could happen? I'm going to screw it up so badly, and I'm going to give the money back. I'm going to tell them, sorry, I screwed up. and this is the money you've given me to make the project, and I'm giving it back to you. I'm really sorry I couldn't do it, but I want to give it a shot.
Hmm.
I there is this a risk taker in me. I always love to go to roads less traveled. I want to create my own path. I am not afraid to fall. I am definitely not afraid to fail. I'm okay to fail, but as long as I'm enjoying doing it, I'm
Hmm.
okay trying it. I'm giving it a shot. And till we know like how at every step, like we didn't know how to do maths, we didn't know how to do science, we didn't know how to do socials. We were taught and we did it.
Yeah.
And you like it or don't like it depending on your creativity, depending on your
Or
insight,
depending on how many
whatever
marks you needed to pass in the exam,
mark
that
you
was
needed
a
to
very
pass.
important criteria.
Absolutely. So when I actually did that first short film, when I wrote it and when I got into direction, I
Hmm.
had no idea of the F of filmmaking. But I took it up. I did a lot of YouTube videos. I saw what exactly, how do you write a screenplay? How do you write a story? What is it about a script? What is dialogues? What is the cuts, etc. And that's when I realized, Ridhima, that it was all meant to be, because that day I think this was end of 2016, 17, 2017. That's when I realized that a filmmaker in me was born, because I thoroughly enjoyed writing something on the paper and bringing that on screen. I cringe when I see my first short film now. I'm like, what the hell did I do? But I'm very grateful for having had that courage to take up, to discover that I had a filmmaker in me. It's an ongoing learning process. No one's going to be perfect ever. So every day I learn something. Every project teaches me something. My first feature film, my first short film taught me I didn't know how to transition between scenes. On the editing table, my editor is like, Vinay, I think you should have just shot something between this scene and this scene so that it's a smooth transition. I was like, oh, I didn't even think about it. My second short film taught me about sound, importance of sound. My third short film taught me about designing the whole leveling, mastering, the technicalities of it. I kept learning every opportunity that I got. I took it up to learn, to get better. I was like, as long as I'm better from my previous work, I'm okay. I was not competing with anybody till date. I don't compete with anyone. My biggest competition is me. I want to kind of get better and better every day. My next feature film that I'm going to do, it should be something that is better than my first feature film, or my fifth short film should be better than my fourth short film. So I think that's when I realized I had a filmmaker in me. I enjoyed making films. Even to this day, I'll get goosebumps and sleepless nights when I know I'm going to go onto the set again and say action. It's very divine. And I know, especially after having made my first feature film, I know how impactful storytelling is, how it can touch lives of people from across the world who
Hmm.
you don't even know who they are, and your story would have made someone smile, someone cry, someone forget about their worries, someone find answers to questions that they've been looking for. So as a filmmaker, you have this very, very strong power. And I just want to utilize that power in telling fantastic stories. And how many ever movies I don't know if I'll ever make a second film. How many movies will I make? It all depends on the opportunities that you get. But if at all I get opportunities to make more and more films, I want to keep telling stories that I truly believe in.
Vinay, there is a considerable journey that you have traversed, and there has been reasonable success at every juncture. What I want to know from you is, and so far it's been a lot of trial and error, a lot of experimentation, then learning, and then there is a point where you would like to, I would not say label yourself, but say, okay, now I know this particular field well, like for example, filmmaking as a craft. Does success make you afraid of making any goof ups or screwing up things? Does it invariably instill a fear of failure, or you're like, let's fail or learn?
For me, I think everyone, I think, has a very different definition of success. And truly, my definition of success is whether two things. One, I shouldn't have a Monday blue. As long as I'm waking up on a Monday and I'm thoroughly enjoying what I'm doing,
Hmm.
that itself is a huge success, because we live one day at a time. And the pandemic, if it has taught us anything, then it is about living by the day
Yeah.
and not worrying about the future. So for me, as long as I'm liking what I'm doing, I think that itself is a huge success for me. And even when I was in corporate, Ridhima, if I've not enjoyed a job, a particular role, there was
Hmm.
one point in time in my corporate where I did not like the person I was working with. I was not enjoying my job. So I told myself that, Vinay, you have two choices. One, you can sit in crib and wait for the person to leave, or you can sit in, or you
Yeah.
can leave, you can move on and look at what you really want. And that's what I did. I stood up and I spoke and I said, I want to try something different because this is not what I want. And I've never had a Monday blue in my entire career, be it corporate, be it entertainment, any point of view. That for me is a definition of success. And the second thing is when I sit back and see, say for example, a conversation with Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, or my first film, which is on Netflix. When I money, fame, monetary, tangible, everything is a sub product.
Hmm.
If you're destined, you will get it. If I do, I need money. Yes, I need money. Am I doing it for money? Not
All
completely
of
for
it.
money. It's
Hmm.
a sub product.
Hmm.
So that I wouldn't. If just because my movie has made a crore lesser doesn't mean it's not successful. What
Hmm.
is important for me is have I kind of have I felt satisfied making it? Have I liked what I have done? And is it impacting people's life? Even to this day, like I keep getting messages now that it's a worldwide Netflix release this February with English and Mandarin subtitles. I've had people from nook and corner of the world, from Zimbabwe, from Pakistan, from Spain, non-Indians who've seen the film with subtitles and reached out to kind of appreciate or
Hmm.
kind of say that how it touched your life. That for me is success. So I have never feared. I fear if at all I'm not able to impact.
When I between becoming an expert, you are at some point a novice, and there are these awkward stances which you do when you're experimenting, and then there's a graceful stance. But between this awkward stance and graceful stance, there is an entire journey that one needs to traverse through. And what I've seen is, as adults, we are so used to being in control that I've seen a lot of people give up because they think, yeah, ye nahi ho payega mujhse. Painting is not my cup of tea because I attempted twice. Third time, I don't think so. I can have it in me. I'll go back to my job because that is what I do well. So I even call it do well syndrome, that you don't give a particular skill enough time for it to really percolate in you. At the end of the day, it's skill. It takes time. So, what would be your message to those people who give up on learning a new skill pretty much easily because they think, ये हमसे नहीं हो पाएगा? Because invariably they are bad at it in the initial, not bad, they're not able to live up to their own expectations or their own standards of performance. So, what would be your message to those people?
So, two sets of people. One is who have passion, who
Yeah.
really want to kind of say, want to pick up singing, want to pick up anything that they want. And there's another set of people who want to give it a try. And if it works, it works. If not, no. It's not like they really want it. So, my thing is, I have seen 99% of the people who have picked
Hmm.
up passion and expecting passion to pay bills will not be able to sustain for long. Um, I'm
Hmm.
not trying to discourage. I'm not trying to say that don't go after your passion. My advice to all the people listening to this is: you have passion, please go after it. Passion is going to take a long time to give you the money to pay your bills. Financial stability, emotional stability is extremely important for you to pursue your passion. You'll be very lucky and probably one in a lakh, one in a million if your passion is giving you the money and you don't need to worry about anything else. That's taking care of your bills. But that doesn't happen for most of us. So for you, you should really plan out in such a way that your bills are taken care by something that gives you money
Hmm.
and work towards your passion in honing skills. Once you have the right amount of skill set, once you are equipped, skilled to do it, and once you make a name for yourself, once you make a portfolio for yourself, then money will start coming. And most of the people give up because They are not able to pay their bills because they are being a struggling singer, a struggling actor, a struggling
Hmm.
model. Understandably, how will you be able to survive? You have left your small town, you have left your cities, you've moved to Bangalore, Bombay, Chennai, with big dreams, and you're paying rent, staying with a couple of people, going for auditions and stuff. But if unless you don't have a support from your family, which is financial stability, or if you have a job which is paying you money to survive, it will be very, very difficult. So, as much as you need to take time out for your passion, also being very realistic about it as
Hmm.
to where you are, can it be converted into profession? Is that profession has enough money? How well are you? How competitive are you when compared to others? These are the very practical questions you need to ask rather than generalizing and saying that, this painting, nothing is happening. I've tried it for 2 years. I'm giving up. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it generally happens. You highlighted an important aspect of making money. So I want to know from you, after you left your job and you were dabbling with talk show things, was money a concern in the back of your head? How is it going to translate into a dollar value or rupee value for that matter? Any value?
Absolutely. I think my case is a bad example, guys. I'm caveating it because I quit my profession without thinking twice, without having a safety net, without thinking about my finances, because it was some calling which I can't articulate, right? But it was extremely hard for the first 2 years
Hmm.
because you might do two talk shows a year, you might be able to get three adverts a year, you're still making a name, you're still putting out your work. It's not going to be easy for you to get money every month like the way you get in a corporate job.
Hmm.
For me, what I really missed was every 20th I used to get my pay. And every 20th after that, I'm like, oh my God, this is a payday, you know? But not even a single day in the last 4 years, 4.5 years, I have ever felt like going back. I think that's what kept me going, and that's what's keeping me going. Do I have the same amount of money that I used to earn in a bank? Hell no. I was in Southeast Asia's hub, financial hub. I was working for a banking industry which pays really well.
Hmm.
Very, very cushion, lucrative job.
Hmm.
I was managing strategy for global team. So it was a very, very, very good job. Till now, the struggle's there. The money is not there as to what I was getting in a bank. But my purpose is different. I've realized what I really want. And I want to also make sure that financially, I will do everything else to sustain and survive and pay my bills. So that's when, Mavendua. Mavendua is a digital solutions agency that my business partner and I started last year,
Hmm.
and that again very close to what I believe, which is creativity and business, where we are managing brands, we are managing a couple of very very diverse, interesting brands, and helping them grow on their social media platforms, creating content for them, trying to create a visual storytelling platform, managing their Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, online campaigns, how to sell their products, how to sell their services, how to sell themselves. We also manage individuals. How do you create a brand Ridhima online? So that's something that I do along with it, which is for money and also feeding my creativity because I
Yeah.
enjoy working with brands.
Okay. So, as we come towards the closure and culmination of this show, what I want to know from you is because you've dabbled a lot, and we've not even touched upon the fashion stylist part. Huh? I was like, bring that up. Now, I must tell you something, Vinay. I've seen your 2016 videos, and then I have seen your recent videos too. There's a makeover journey that you've been through of your own. So, what instigated that change? What incited that change? And then I'll also just segue into the next question so that you can answer both these questions together. What are certain practices or certain things that people can do simply just to start on their journey of creativity? I'm not saying that they will have this revelation one day and the sun is suddenly going to be brighter, but I think creativity is a sum total of lot of small actions done over a period of time. So, how can people get started on that journey? But before that, I want to know about your makeover and this level of fashion stylist because there's like considerable change visually between 2016 and 2019. So, what instigated that change?
Oh boy, I can't even recognize myself when I see the 2016
You know?
videos. So I think it all, again, I'll go back to this image consultant who told me one thing which stayed with me. She said, if you're uncomfortable with something about yourself, which is I'm talking about physically, change it. You know, she said, confidence is everything. And if you are not confident about yourself, come what may, you're not going to be giving your best. So she said, if you feel you're looking fat, lose weight. If you feel your teeth is awkward, fix it. If you feel that your body language is something that you have to work on it.
Mm.
There is no excuse for you to sit and say, "Oh, I don't like myself. I'm too fat." You know. So basically, the thing happened where I started taking care of myself in terms of course, beard's a huge change. I must say, when compared to 2016 and now, having a beard changed the outlook. Losing weight helped. Taking care of my health, mental and physical, really helped. That's my top priority. Mental health is top priority. Thinking good, you're looking good. Half the battle is won. And fashion always was a very integral part of my growing up. My childhood friend was a fashion designer. She used to stay next to my house,
Oh,
and I used
nice.
to help her sketch. She used to go to Vogue, and I used to help her sketch and go with her to pick up fabrics. And it used to be fascinating of how something is created.
Mm.
And when I saw Sabyasachi's interview with I think Boman Irani in 2014, I think where Sabyasachi was sitting and talking about how he started it in a garage and he got this brand called Sabyasachi. I remember calling my friend and I was like, "Hey, why don't we start a fashion label?" And that's literally how it started. And we started Chenille, though it's not active now. It was an amazing journey of creating outfits. Used to go to Bombay, pick up fabrics from Manish Market, Dadar Market, go to Bangalore, work with karigars, put up a collection, come here to Singapore during Diwali, put it up in the store for sale. Nothing as a profession. It was more out of passion and stuff, but it fed the creative side of me because I didn't know I
Mm.
was getting into hosting. I didn't know I was getting into filmmaking. And when even now when I go to when I see fashion, when I see trends, when I see people dressing up, my first thing is that creates an impression. You walk into a room before you say anything, people will make an impression. And going back to your earlier question, to all the people in corporate, fashion is very, very important. Fashion is not just for the runway. Fashion is not
Yeah.
just when you go out for dinners and drinks. Fashion is your everyday fashion. It defines you. It's not about wearing brands. It's about wearing you. The colors that you wear, the type of clothes that you wear is all speaking about your personality. Walk in with a simple white shirt and a black pant, carry it well, wear something that your body type, it suits your body type. You're
Mm.
already halfway through. It doesn't matter whether you're chubby, healthy, thin, fat, skinny, really doesn't matter.
Mm.
What really matters is embrace your body, wear something that makes an impression about you, and your clothes give you half the confidence, and then the rest of the half is when you speak, when you open your mouth. And people always already make a judgment when you walk into a room. So your footwear, your clothes play a very, very important role. And since I don't know from when, but I've always enjoyed being presentable at any point in time, anywhere that I'm stepping out. It's not for people, but I like to be presentable, and I always put an effort to do that, and I do it with passion. And it, for me, doesn't even feel like I'm putting an extra effort in doing it. So it's just me, but that will make a huge difference, Ridhima.
I'm sure. Coming to our next
And your
question,
second, yeah, last,
Vinay.
what was the question?
I was
Sorry,
saying,
Adi.
what can people do on a daily
Yeah,
basis, irrespective of who they are, where they come from, what profession
yeah,
they have, to
yeah.
build creativity as an acumen?
Yeah. So first thing, what I would suggest, simple things so that people who are watching this can do it. I would try and articulate 2 or 3 points. Number one would be I go back to my visualization. You might be a banker, you might be a doctor, you might be a lawyer, you might be an accountant, right? Every day, spend at least about 5 to 10 minutes visualizing something. Close your eyes and think about a court case that you're going to go and fight. Think about a presentation that you're going to do. Visuals have great impact in shaping your creativity. So close your eyes and think about that, visualize how it's going to be, give the colors, give the texture, give the tone to your story that you're making up in your head. That's number one. Number two, for the people who are actually wanting to get into professions like art and music and acting and dance and etc. For you, I think what is important is वो बोलते हैं ना रियाज करना है. It is about every day spending a little amount of time. If you really want it, you will make time. Spending a little amount of time every day to kind of practice, to kind of tell yourself that today I'm going to do this. Even if you're a singer, singing that one song every day, to keep that passion inside you alive, to get better, to train your voice better is very, very important. So I would say visualization. I would say practice. Even if it is 5 minutes, it's great practicing. And third thing, with smartphones, with YouTube, with platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse, I think what is important is for you to put your skill set to practice. You can just take your phone, record a song and put it up. You can just take a phone, act in front of it and put it up. You can do anything you want without spending a single dollar at your home and put it up for a public platform for them to see and give you feedback, or send it across to people to give you feedback. So I think these are the things that will really help you to get better with your creativity, and any profession that you're in, one step at a time will help you.
So, Vinay, I think this entire conversation was inundated with a lot of learnings, and I think few sentences and few excerpts from this conversations that are going to stick with me, and for me to really stick with me for a long time, I'm going to use it in a lot of platforms. With due respect, giving credit to you, I don't hog credit. Crying baby gets milk. I think I really like that entire philosophy. And I like your philosophy of not getting afraid when you're going into uncharted territories and taking one day at a time. I like that entire packaging of creativity as an amalgamation of visualization and articulation. I think you beautifully put it in just 3 words, including the word creativity. So I think that stands with me. And I like the metaphors that you used, Vinay. For example, resume like a wedding card, and we make a lot of judgment about the bride and the groom even before we enter and eat the free food. Not free, we give them a lot of gifts. But I think I thoroughly enjoyed conversing with you. And, they say that ambition doesn't need to be loud. Ambition doesn't need to make this glaring noise that I'm ambitious and I'm here to change the world. It can come in the form of a faint voice, and which is translating into this huge tone. So I think, Vinay, the way you have started your journey, it has come from a very humble purpose that you wanted to make a difference, create this awareness. And I think you still hold true to that purpose. But with that thing in the center, I think you've achieved a lot of great things. And your body of work, the way it inspired me, I'm sure it's inspiring a lot of people. Thank you so much for making time for this conversation, Vinay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm humbled, and I'm very happy that you got something out of me that inspired you. I'm hoping that people watching this also will get that. And good luck to you. You've been a fantastic host.
Thank you
Continue
so
to
much.
do this, because these kind of conversations would help people from across the world who are directionless, who are looking at small baby steps to take, who are looking at what's the right word? People who are looking at justification to do something.
Yeah.
I think these conversations will really help go a long way.
Vinay, your voice is, I'm not able to hear you. Are you new to something? I lost you there.
Now, is it better?
Yes, now I can hear you. Yeah.
So I was just saying that it was amazing being on the show. Thank you for having me. I thoroughly enjoyed talking about it. And I enjoyed not talking about the same stuff, but talking completely about creativity, and how do you kind of corporate people, creativity is not important, and
Yeah.
all that, the elephant in the room questions that we always hear.
Yeah.
I think that was wonderful. I enjoyed, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Vinay, for your time. We should connect more often. Thank you. Thank you so much,
Yes.
Vinay. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.